place the medium knuckle, right? And then I'm just gonna go in. Now I could hick her from that one. I was looking. Oh, I did not combo that optimally. But you see, like, yeah, just playing strike throw, dash forward after throw is automatically times the throw loop. So I'm gonna see if they know how to deal with it. Are they XDP'd? Oh, that was a good punch. They got those? Oh, they went that version. Okay. I'm gonna look for a crouch medium kick. They're trying to play these like footsies. Oh. I could have anti-air with DP, but trying to talk at the same time I accidentally enter crouch heavy punch, but it doesn't work. Alright, so he's playing a little bit aggressive. Yeah. Yeah. Overhead? See if he knows how to deal with it. Oh, I just mistimed it. Oh, that was a good whip punch. Alright, he already burned himself out. I get a combo. Again, we can do the rest we talked about. I missed the delay. Oh. And now he's actually just screwed. Because that DI was guaranteed. And then I just go to level 3, he's dead. And the reason that DI was guaranteed, if you do drive rush, crouch, medium punch into DI, and they don't have super, and they're burned out, you get a guaranteed stun there. So this guy's pretty aggressive. So it's really important for me to be like really on point with my anti-airs and like maybe try a whiff punch like a burn knuckle. Unless he wants to like just walk in. That was good. Oh no, he doesn't know the combos, so I'll just kind of like gap him if I know like there are combos in him, right? I'll try to go for a burn knuckle. Oh, I missed the overhead block. That still is kind of tricky. DI is really good if they're burned out. Oh, that was actually really clean on his part. Medium kick does combo into that. Alright, I'm gonna keep up with the pressure. Alright, see I'm abusing target combo. Alright, wait for the anti-air. Go for oh, good backdash. And then I can just keep doing the drive rush combo. If you ever want to extend a drive rush combo, you just do you can just literally keep looping it. Oh, I missed that combo. Yeah, see it? So like that's the bad side about Burn Knuckle is like he basically put himself in the corner by doing Burn Knuckle too close. I'm gonna get first. Yep, see he crouched or he stood up, and that's the power of like having one of the best crouch medium kicks in the game, right? If they ever stand up, you just flip them low, drive rush, and then you make them explode. Alright, GG's. True Yellow, appreciate the tier 1. I think that's good enough. That's good enough. Yeah, we can always run some other time. I want to finish up this guy though. Right around the set. I'll be down later. Maybe after this guide. There's one thing I remember that I forgot to cover. Oh yeah, I don't know if I covered drive rush combos, so let me explain. So drive rush combo, the very easy combo to do is crouch medium punch, stand heavy punch into tackle into your typical ender. But this works after almost every drive rush except jab, and then jab you just do jab crouch medium punch, right? And then you can kind of like do this. And that's pretty much it for drive. There are ways to optimize this, right? So for example, if it's like a crouch medium punch, you can go into stand medium kick. That does a little bit extra damage. Same thing, you can also go into crouch heavy punch. But again, these don't actually do that much more. And I think for newer players, they're a little bit trickier. So it's a lot easier just to like autopilot It's a lot easier just to autopilot this because it does pretty similar damage. You get... Oh yeah, you're right. You do get after jab, drive rush. After jab, drive rush, you do get jab, crouch heavy punch, right? So you can do stuff like this. Oh, that doesn't work. So what do you actually do here? You just and shoulder. That's like a 100 point optimization there too. DX Gaming, appreciate the tier 1. Alright, one other thing. Okay, so if you made it this far in the video, you might be wondering, how to improve a Terry. I think, watching the guide, maybe rewatching it, pick up some stuff you didn't pick up. It's a great idea. But realistically, if you want to get better, you either have to head online, and which I'm sure you guys are doing, or you want to practice drills. And some of the drills that I recommend practicing with Terry, obviously very basic, like being able to anti-air of Terry, very, very important, right? Because if you ever throw fireballs, because it makes this fireball game just that much scarier, right? Because like any time a fireball's thrown, and if they don't get a punish counter, that means you could have anti-aired, right? Being able to anti-air at this like cross-up range is also really important. You guys know, if you don't know, this is called a cross cut. You basically do like a half circle back, and it'll auto correct your DP. So make sure you practice those. The other thing I would practice if you're new to Terry is this crouch medium kick affirm, right? So on hit, we'll put the dummy. So put the dummy on random block. On hit, no fuck. On block, go into drive rush into throw, or you can do drive rush crouch medium punch into throw, or you can do and on hit. On hit, you just go into H. So I definitely practice that. You can also do random guard on counter hit, and make sure you can pick affirm this into level 1 super. This one's a little bit trickier. If you want to be really cracked, because you're going to be doing a lot of drive rush crouch medium punch. So for example, like after any cancel, drive rush crouch medium punch is really good. Being able to hit confirm this is really important, right? So this drill is going to be drive rush crouch medium punch, and then on hit you just go into stand medium punch. So this drill is drive rush crouch medium punch, stand heavy punch. This drill is drive rush crouch medium punch, and on hit or block you do two different things. So on hit you always go into stand heavy punch, right, into your B&B, and on block you go into throw, or you can just go into shimmy, right? You can like walk back, see if they whiff a throw, press crouch medium punch. So let's put this on random guard, show you it's doable. See, it's pretty doable. This is definitely something you should practice. Another thing, if you're trying to get good with Terry, because his auto shimmy game is not that great. So one thing like this is something that I need to practice, is if the opponent does either drive parry or whiff throw. We'll say they like delay a throw slightly, and they rotate between these two. I want to be able to punish either one. So if they whiff a throw, I want to be able to punish with this, and if they parry, I want to be able to walk up parry in time. Oh, this is fucking tough. See, this is the stuff I need to drill. It's actually pretty hard. See, all right, so I gotta throw. And then if you want to make it even harder, you can have them jump forward out of the corner. And this is some of the stuff, in order for me to improve my Terry, this is the stuff I have to do. Just to show you, give you an example. All right, we got that. Okay, well, you get the idea. That did punish. I was trying to do regular DP. A little sloppy on my cross cut. All right, got the punish counter. Got the DP. You get the idea. So if you really want to prove your Terry, do drills like this and drill the important stuff. It'll get you a lot further than just playing ranked match. Anyways, if this guy was helpful, consider like, sharing, and subscribing. It really helps out the channel and helps me make more guides like this, right? If people don't sub off these guides, then I'm gonna be real. I'll probably keep doing them because I like making guides. It helps me. It helps the community. I really like that. But it'll encourage me to make more guides, especially if this helped you and you know you can kind of pay it forward. Anyways, let me know down in the comments below if anything else I could have included. Obviously, there's some additional combos, additional tech out there, but you know I didn't want this guide to go on for 3 hours. Anyways, have a good day and peace. When's it go up on YouTube? Probably a few days. If you make Terry guide in COTW, I'll sub. We'll see. We'll see how I like. I'll probably play away from Call of the Wolves, but I will be playing that. Allison, you gifted like what 5-10 subs? Let's play. I'm down to play you. Quick set. Because you guys got snubbed by Balhub. If you want me to shoot you an invite. Mystic, did you want to play too? New Core A video in 1 minute? Oh shit. I'm down for that. Video and then we can play. That way I don't feel like I'm rushing. All right, let's do the Core A. Because this is gonna be an absolute banger. Oh, wow, wait, it's 5 minutes? Fuck, let's play. Premiere? Make sure to go use the restroom. Mystic, play me one match, or Allison, play me one match while we wait. You're playing Rashid? Or what happened here? Allison, what's this event? If I just search your... There's no way this works, right? Yeah, okay. Says same name? Bro, I really... Oh, like that's a stupid idea. Yeah, I'm getting trolled. Oh, yeah. No, you're good, you're good. Alright, how do I... Fuck! This is so cursed. Yeah, it is a scuffed. Alright, we'll wait. We got 3 minutes left. It's not scuffed, bro. Let's go. Yeah, after the vid, after the vid. I'll tell you what, you invite me. Alright, Mystic, first of one. Let's do it. Actually, Already up. It's literally 3 minutes. 2 minutes 30 seconds. Mystic, we might only be able to do 1 round. Mystic, we might only be able to do 1 round. Let me keep it a buck. Oh wait, you can do that? Good bait. How are you ready for that, bro? Alright, Mister, we got 30 seconds. I'm gonna just fucking run at you, bro. Oh, that's stupid. Alright, actually, Mystic, you got it, bro. Mystic, you got it. Just kill me. We got 45 seconds. Wait, actually. Just kidding. Alright. You can have the last round. You can have the last round. Kill me. Hurry up. I want the game noise in the back. I want the game noise in the back. Mystic, hurry the fuck up! Hurry up! What are you doing? Mystic! Kill me! Mystic! You fucking troll!
When Riot revealed the gameplay trailer for its upcoming fighting game 2XKO, a user on Reddit described the game as a Tekken-like, which caused a collective facepalming of fighting game fans. It was like someone saw these spring rolls and called them burritos.
Burritos? Well, they're spring rolls.
Tekken and 2XKO are obviously different to fighting game players, but it's not surprising how these games could seem similar to the layperson. Look at how many have a character select screen, a side view angle of both players facing each other, and life bars depleting towards the center until someone is KO'd. Win enough rounds and win the match. How can these games be all that different if so many share these fundamental characteristics? But the same can be said about a genre of music like rock.
Wait a minute, this sounds like rock and or roll.
Rock music mostly has some combination of electric guitars, bass, drum kits, and around 3 to 5 members, but everyone knows punk rock is not the same as blues rock, which is not the same as technical death metal. There are so many different types of rock music now, but if you go back in time, you can trace its roots down to the father of rock and roll, Chuck Berry.
If you were to try and give rock and roll another name, you might call it Chuck Berry.
Many artists contributed to the birth of rock, but Chuck Berry is described as the one who came closest to putting all the essential pieces together, thus forming an archetype. So too with fighting games, if you go back far enough, you can find its archetype, Street Fighter II: The World Warrior in 1991. Archetype. So too with fighting games, if you go back far enough, you can find its archetype. Yes, it was inspired by many iconic fighting games before it, but they also served as prototypes that laid the groundwork for what Street Fighter II would become. Karate Champ in 1984 brought forward the 1v1 side view martial arts game, but its clunky double joystick gameplay did not hold up over time. ER Kung Fu had health bars and multiple characters, but it was sadly single player only, and even with all the lasting innovations Street Fighter 1 had, it still did not let you select a character. These games were popular and sold well, but none would get close to the impact and success of Street Fighter 2, which would go on to sell over 22 million copies across platforms. It just had the right combination of design
Well, I'm probably start the stream late because I don't want to waste all my
and gameplay that became the basis for so many fighting games going forward, including major titles being made today. So what exactly are these design and gameplay elements that made Street Fighter 2 so successful that it transformed the arcade culture from one of getting personal high scores into one of beating a human opponent?
You win!
Well, for starters, obviously a versus mode. Having the objective be to mess up another human player is what largely distinguished the fighting game genre from the single-player and co-op beat-em-up genres. It's why people were confused when Sifu got nominated for Best Fighting Game at the Game Awards.
What the holy dumb Excuse me?
If there were a classification tree for fighting games post-Street Fighter 2, the fundamental characteristic at the top should be are always facing each other. This means that the character movement is described as moving backwards and forwards as opposed to merely left and right. Because it's a 2D game, you cannot evade attacks by moving to the third dimension any more than the original Pac-Man could jump over ghosts. This is why these NPCs can be so chill when a fight is happening right in front of them. They know they'll never get hit. Modern versions of these games might have 3D models and environments, but if the gameplay still takes place in those two dimensions, you still have a 2D fighting game, though some will call them 2.5D. But while you cannot evade by moving into the third dimension, you can evade by going up really high. So characters jumped higher than their own height, making the combat look like Cirque du Soleil. Making use of the 8-way joystick of the era, up was neutral jump, up forward was forward jump, and up back was back jump. Each of the 3-way jumps are at fixed heights, trajectories, and distances per character. Hold forward to walk forward, hold back to walk backwards, and hold down to crouch. Simple enough, but the directionals also control the blocking. You hold back to block, which is the same input to walk backwards, and hold down back to crouch block. If you've noticed, all the jumping and blocking are done on the 8-way joystick. This is because the creator of Street Fighter 1, Takashi Nishiyama, wanted a 6-button game in an era where 2 or 3 was the norm. He would argue that a 6-button game wouldn't be too complicated if all the buttons did the same thing: attack. Nishiyama got his way, and Street Fighter would have no jump button and no block button for over 3 decades and counting. But there was an unintentional consequence of a hold back to block system, which had become a major part of the archetypal 2D fighting game to this day. The problem, or feature, of hold back to block is that the input for back changes depending on if your opponent is to your right or your left. If your opponent is to your right, you hold left to block. If they're to your left, you hold right to block. Simple enough, but which way should you hold here to block? Left or right? It's hard to know which direction is back if you don't know if your opponent will be to your right or your left. In this case, you must hold right to block because the opponent ends up to your left when the attack connects. Tricky, but that's what makes it so good. An attack that suddenly requires you to switch blocking direction to defend is called a cross-up.
So the first guy I ever saw do cross-ups, his name was Tony Tsui. I was doing cross-ups myself, but didn't even know I was doing it. I just do that for whatever reason. If I jumped into somebody really deep, all of a sudden the guy couldn't block it.
A big part of fighting games is to make your opponent defend incorrectly by mixing them up, which is unsurprisingly called the mix-up, but more specifically in this case, a left-right mix-up.
I always want to see this stuff on ESPN. Let's get rid of the spelling bee already. I don't care about kids memorizing words out of a dictionary. There's no resets in the dictionary. There's no cross-ups in spelling.
But it's hard to cross someone up when they're a moving target. Luckily, Street Fighter II also introduced knockdowns, which rendered a player immobile but invulnerable until they got up again. With the opponent on the ground, you can get in position to plan your mix-up. If it hits like this, there's a small window where you can score another free hit afterwards before the game will let your opponent block. This glitch is what we now know as a combo. From here, you can do a special attack before your attack animation finishes and get a third free hit. Game is starting to look busted now. Look at this janky animation transition. Starting another move before the previous one finishes its animation is called canceling, a staple feature of the 2D fighting game archetype and extremely impossible in real life. Street Fighter II lead designer Akira Nishitani said, "We thought this was quite interesting and it didn't seem to cause any bugs, so we decided it could be a feature to expand the gameplay." So, another genre-defining accident. This whole glitch-filled attack sequence where you planned your left-right mix-up feels like you were setting your opponent up, which is exactly why they're called setups. But the left-right mix-up would not have worked if the game did not have hold back to block and used the block button instead. This is what Mortal Kombat did in 1992. When blocking is done with a button instead of a direction, there is no left or right blocking to worry about, meaning no left-right mix-up game to be had. Whether Scorpion throws his spear or does his side-switching teleport punch, the answer is the same: block button. This would actually be a nightmare to deal with if you had to hold back to block, because you'd have to walk backwards to block spear and forwards to block teleport punch. But funny enough, this nightmare came true when Scorpion became a guest character in Injustice, NetherRealm Studios' first hold back to block fighting game.
How can you say that this move has been toned down? Look at it, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I know.
It breaks the rules of the game.
This became a great example of a guest character bringing over their abilities into a host world only to harass its people with never-before-seen technology. Basically, what I call the Predator effect. Calls for tournament bans and nerfs would reach game director Ed Boon on social media, where he acknowledged the issue and promised changes. A glance at the 15-page thread on the Mortal Kombat forum testyourmight.com shows how divided people were when they found out Injustice would be a hold back to block game. Mortal Kombat is unique for being a major OG 2D fighting game that is not hold back to block. Its rock music equivalent would be Elvis, a major OG rock artist who stood out from the others by doing his own thing and taking the performative aspects to the next level. But even without a left-right mix-up game, you can still have the high-low mix-up game, the question of whether you should stand block or crouch block, also known as blocking high or low. The rule established by Street Fighter II was that blocking high will defend against high attacks and jumping attacks, but lose to low attacks, which makes intuitive sense, look how vulnerable those ankles are, and blocking low will defend against both low attacks and high attacks, but will lose to jumping attacks. Not as intuitive, but that's the rule still used today. But high-low mix-ups in Street Fighter II weren't so scary because crouch block covered all attacks on the ground, and jumping attacks were easy to react to with stand block because everyone jumped so damn high. But there was a downside of crouch blocking, which was that you couldn't move. So a spacing game was played where you'd try to tag your walking opponent with a quick and long low attack while avoiding or blocking theirs. One of the earliest examples of footsies, the strategic combat focused on movement and attack ranges. But even still, crouch blocking was really effective, so they had to add a couple things that could beat blocking, namely throws and chip damage from blocked special attacks. But as you can see, Street Fighter had a this beats that, but that beats this kind of rock, paper, scissors gameplay, but with every choice contingent on timing and spacing.
Tomo's taught me a method called the TDR. Timing, distance, and reactions.
But a way to bypass this spacing game on the ground is to do a jumping attack. But the downside is that you cannot block in the air, making it risky. A big part of the game was to make people impatiently jump at you so you can strike them out of the air, also known as an anti-air.
What an anti-air!
This is how the game of fireballs and uppercuts became central to its gameplay. Street Fighter II's combat schematic became the foundation of the 2D fighting game and has been used in countless titles. But like with anything, the archetype would evolve, and in the early days, much of it was thanks to SNK, who poached the makers of Street Fighter I, Takashi Nishiyama and Hiroshi Matsumoto. While Capcom focused on refining Street Fighter II gameplay with all its bazillion updates, SNK was working on new fighting game franchises and innovating like crazy. Matsumoto's Art of Fighting in 1992 would introduce meter, super moves, taunting, and dashing where you tap forward or back twice for quick bursts of movement. Street Fighter would add all these mechanics to its core gameplay much later. In '93, weapon-based fighting game Samurai Showdown introduced running, tap forward twice and hold, something Mortal Kombat would again add a button for. Backdash and run would become standard in many fighting games going forward. But not all innovations stuck around. Nishiyama's Fatal Fury was the most experimental at the time, with its kind of 3D two-lane battle system, hold down forward to crouch walk, and a 2v1 co-op mode that made the good guys look like bullies. Nevertheless, with so many fighting game characters under their belt, SNK made a crossover game called The King of Fighters 94. This introduced the team battle system where each player picks a team of 3 characters and the order in which they appear. When a character's life bar is depleted, the next character on the team takes over. The player who can eliminate all 3 of their opponent's characters wins the game. As their new flagship fighting game, SNK would continue to add features in each iteration. KOF 94 introduced spot dodging, a way to dodge in place for a moment to avoid attacks, a kind of a pseudo-dodge into the 3rd dimension. In KOF 95, they experimented with the option to do a longer 3-way jump, and Fatal Fury 3 experimented with the short hop. By KOF 96, you could do a running short hop called a hyper hop, which allowed for some sneaky high-low left-right mix-ups. Combine this with rolling, an evasion mechanic that goes through fireballs and people, and you've essentially got the control scheme for what we know as King of Fighters gameplay. Tons of new movement and jumping options added to the 2D archetype.
I think what makes KOF unique in the current era of fighting games is that its movement options are kind of like a happy medium between what you would find in old Street Fighter and also in anime air dashes and whatnot. Like, there's a run option, which increases the speed of regular interactions, several different kinds of jumps that all have strengths and weaknesses, and classically also just really good buttons.
In contrast, modern Street Fighter at the core still uses controls from Street Fighter II, but with forward and backdashing added from 3 onwards. Yes, Street Fighter games have had mechanics like long jump, parries, custom combos, and focus attack, but these act more like guest mechanics that change from game to game, which is why each Street Fighter iteration is so different yet so familiar at the same time. But the thing that binds Street Fighter, KOF, and other SNK games together is the rule that you cannot block in the air. This keeps players closer to the ground, which is why there should be a subcategory for grounded fighting games. A great example of a grounded fighting game is Capcom vs SNK 2, which lets you choose which mechanics you want your character to have through its groove system.
It merges and compresses basically a decade of fighting game history into one game and tries to create all these different mechanics or permutations of mechanics from each game's original series to make those characters feel like they could be at home. You can play with SNK style systems like with a spot dodge or with rolling with short hop. You can play with charge style meter or the stock style meter. You get a rage gauge and K group that's kind of like Sam shows, but with just defend that makes it feel a little bit like Garo Mark of the Wolves. But you can also play Capcom characters in those SNK systems, and you can kind of mix and match to really get something that feels like it's what you want.
Patrick, #1 USA player at this moment.
After Super Street Fighter II Turbo was released in 1994, Capcom finally started to flex their own innovations with Darkstalkers, their first post-Street Fighter II fighting game. It would introduce a 3rd type of blocking, hold back to block in the air. But there was a caveat. Air blocking could only block jumping attacks, not attacks from the ground, which includes uppercuts. This kind of partial air blocking was found in Street Fighter Alpha, and more recently, the Granblue Vs. series. In terms of offense, Darkstalkers implemented a primitive form of chain combos, where a loosely dialed-in series of buttons would magically do a combo, a departure from the stricter link-based combo timings of Street Fighter and KOF-like games. It was around this time when combos were being recognized by both the players and the developers, and Combo Mania had hit a peak with the release of Killer Instinct, a game with a unique combo system that allowed you to do some that exceeded 10, 20, or even 30 hits during a match. But with great combos comes great one-sided gameplay, so they also incorporated a way to stop your opponent's combo in the middle of it, the Combo Breaker. But preferences for a Combo Breaker system can vary, and typically SNK and Capcom fighting games tend not to have them. But while Capcom says no to Combo Breakers, they were completely okay with adding dashing. Darkstalkers was the first Capcom game to add dashing for the entire cast. But these were no ordinary dashes, and they varied from character to character. Some would hop, slide, or even fly like Morrigan. But Lord Raptor would go one step further and break the laws of physics by performing the first dash in the air. We'd also see cartoon physics in World Heroes, where the two ninjas performed the first fighting game Double Jump in 1992. But how absurd would it be if everyone could air dash and double jump? What if everyone could also do chain combos? What if people could block anything in the air without caveat?